Hello and many thanks for joining us on this edition of the program. I am Imoni Amarere. As the people of Anambra State prepare to head to the polls on November 8 to elect a new governor, the spotlight is firmly on the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, and its level of preparedness to conduct a free, fair, credible, and peaceful election. Coming on the heels of intense political realignments in the country, heightened security concerns, and public demand for electoral integrity, the Anambra Governorship Election presents another critical test of Nigeria's democratic resilience. In the build-up to the polls, INEC has rolled out a comprehensive electoral timetable and operational guidelines, underscoring its commitment to transparency and timely execution. The Commission has concluded the continuous voter registration exercise in the state after 3 days extension. It has also introduced innovations like the bimodal voter accreditation system for both authentication and voting, and will soon begin the training of ad hoc personnel. Stakeholder engagements, especially with political parties, civil society organizations, traditional institutions, the youth and women groups, is expected to follow as the days go by. The Commission is also strengthening its monitoring mechanisms to ensure real-time response to incidents and logistics challenges, which has always bedeviled Nigerian elections. INEC says it acknowledges the challenges posed by expected political tensions and infrastructural gaps. But the Commission insists it is determined to raise the bar of electoral integrity and public trust in Anambra State. With meticulous planning, technology-driven processes, and expanded stakeholder collaboration, INEC's preparedness may well shape the credibility of the election outcome and, of course, signal the future trajectory of Nigeria's democratic process. This is a stand-alone election. Now, that is why our focus in this edition of the program is on the state and level of preparations and preparedness by the electoral management body for the November 8 polls, with public campaigns already in full gear and, of course, expectations very high. We will be joined by the resident electoral commissioner for Anambra State, Mrs. Elizabeth Queen Agu. She should be joining us virtually from Oka, the Anambra State capital, on the program. But here in the studio, we have with us Madam Faith Nwadishi. She is the Executive Director, Center for Transparency Advocacy, CTA. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. Good afternoon, Nigeria.
All right, we'll dive into our discussion very shortly when we return from this break.
Nigeria of our dream, the Nigeria we need, is the united, indissoluble, and cohesive Nigeria which guarantees equity, fairness, justice, and prosperity for its citizens. That is our focus on people, politics, and power. It is fresh, insightful, impactful. It's a must-watch. People, politics, and power on AIT. When the issues are critical, germane to Nigeria's democratic process,
politicians can only be seen maybe on television by judges. They should not intermingle, because once you intermingle, then you destroy the systems.
when the personalities are big, important to national discourse.
When you reach certain stage in power and you demonstrate arrogance to the extreme, there's no other thing that will happen to you other than to fall.
When the developments are seemingly complex, confounding like a 1,000-piece jigsaw, that's when we require bold, sound, and analytical minds to help put the pieces together. Jigsaw with Benga Arileba, now showing Tuesdays and Thursdays at 1 p.m. on AIT. Jigsaw, demystifying the issues.
Thank you so much for staying with us, people. Politics and power, as we focus on the forthcoming Anambra Governorship Election. November 8th is the date that has been set, and already the Independent National Electoral Commission has concluded the continuous voter registration exercise after a 3-day extension. That extension ended on Sunday, and we should be hearing from the resident electoral commissioner how that continuous voter exercise went and how many more Anambra voters actually registered. There are, as it were, 5,720 polling units in Anambra State, and the registration exercise took place all across the state. And from all indications, there are those who have also decided to transfer their voters' cards to Anambra State, and those who say they'll either misplaced or lost their cards to revalidate them. All of that we'll talk about. But here in the studio, we will be engaging with Madam Wadishi, who is an election observer and has, in fact, paid a lot of attention to previous elections in Anambra State. Let's begin this way. Anambra, here again. The last time you were in Anambra, the voter turnout was not as expected. Indeed, it was less than a quarter of the number of registered voters in that state. But here we are, from all indications, there are more and more people have registered this time around. The figures that Inec has already produced indicate that over 10,000 more voters have registered, and a number, hundreds have also indicated their interest to relocate their voting centers to Anambra State. What are your expectations? Let's begin from there.
Thank you very much, and thank you for having me back on this platform. You know, elections in Anambra are very interesting elections, and for you to know there's going to be by-election very soon again in Anambra. So when it comes to voter turnout or even elections in Anambra, prior to elections, you have this tension. We saw an unprecedented tension in 2021 where there was this announcement that people shouldn't come out to vote. In fact, some of my staff were threatening. They were, some of them, their families were calling to say, don't go, you know, Anambra is going to be that. But every time you have all of this kind of tension and contestation coming before the Anambra election. Anambra election, if you take statistics of violence that happens on an election day, Anambra stand-alone election happens to be the most peaceful election on election day. You hardly have all of those incidents, the ballot box snatching, you know, beating up of people in Anambra elections. So, and the reason for the what we found that for the fact that a lot of people don't turn out, because you see, in 2021 it was really down. We had a little above 10% that came out. All because of that violence, you know, prior to the election. People were threatening that if you come out, so and so is going to happen. Election was not going to hold. You know, we kept asking Inec, is election going to hold in Anambra? Were you going to postpone election in Anambra until we had the stakeholders meeting? So, but going into Anambra, I have been to Oka 2 times this year. Alone, and I have seen that the people are very enthusiastic to come out to vote. You just reeled out the figures that the CVR brought out. It would interest you to know. In fact,
it's more than what I said earlier on.
Yes,
but it will interest you to know.
Yes, it will interest you to know that the people who are registering are women and young people. The statistics is showing that about 58% are women and 52% put together are young people. So this election, just like we predicted for the 2023 election, is going to be an election for women and young people. And because you also have 2 women on the ballot, you have 6 deputy governorship aspirants also going to be on the ballot.
Who are women?
who are women. So I'm not surprised that more women are coming out to register. But going into the election and closing the line to election, we want to see what will happen, you know, with the security issues around, because this is where it is. And interestingly, you know, by-election is going to happen around the Nnewi area and all of that for the senatorial district or the late senator that passed. Usually you have that contestation there in the Nnewi area because you have more candidates from different political parties coming from that area. There's going to be the fact that people will be afraid that there will be sharing of votes. Who are you going to vote for? All the candidates are popular candidates. And so that place is somewhere you should look out for real electioneering that will happen. So for me, the expectation in Anambra is, number one, on election day, I'm not envisaging any violence as usual. We've been there, you know, all of these years. There was a by-election where I went to Anambra to observe. That was a by-election that brought in Senator Ume at a time. And the number of security persons that were announced or have been sent to that zone for the election, we didn't see the same number. But we saw community people themselves, you know, standing as sentries, protecting their votes. Old people from communities will come out with benches to sit down there. So I'm also looking forward to this election, community people understanding the importance of this election, importance of their vote, to put in a governor, you know, that they really need, would go all out to ensure that there is security on election day.
All right, I'm happy to announce that Mrs. Elizabeth Queen Ago, resident electoral commissioner for Anambra State, has joined us now. Thank you so much, madam, for finding time to join the program. Let's begin by asking you how the continuous voter registration exercise went. It had a 3-day extension. How did it go?
God bless you, viewers. You're welcome. Really, the continuous voters registration, CVR, that started on the 8th, Tuesday, 8th of July, and ended on the 20th, Sunday, 20th July, was a wonderful one. For me, it's a hope for Nigeria, because the people were eager, very much eager to register. People turned out en masse for registration, and INEC definitely, we were prepared for that. We were prepared for the surge that happened on the last 3 days, last 2 days before the penultimate day. The surge, we were prepared for it because we had 326 registration areas where we deployed machine, and we have 50 extra for intervention. Intervention means where the people are surged out, where there is a real turnout, so much overwhelming the machine that is there, we go for intervention. That is deploying extra machine. And INEC, I want to thank INEC staff. I want to thank INEC management. It was good. We were really helped, and God helped us. For one, there was no rain. The weather was not very sunny. It was calm. We prayed for it, and we got it. The people turned out, both those who are transferred.
Oh, there's a glitch there, communication glitch. We hope that we are able to reconnect with Mrs. Elizabeth Queen Ago, the resident electoral commissioner in Anambra State, to give us more updates on the voter registration and all the other preparations for the November 8th governorship election. But back here, I mean, you just heard her talk about how smooth the process was. And I believe it's possibly because of the large turnout that resulted in the 3-day extension. That could mean that we might just be having more potential voters coming out on election day to vote. Let's crunch the figures for the last election in 2021, for instance. There were 2,466,638 registered voters. But on election day, only 253,388 were accredited to vote. And at the end of the day, the valid votes cast were just 249,631. what is there this time around that could improve the turnout for this election?
Okay, so one of the things that you look at for going into election is when you have voter registration before the election and you look at the turnout. The turnout for this, and as I speak to you, students are asking for 10 more days extension. There is a protest right now in Anambra that they should give them 10 more days and more youths want to come out to register. So, and we have not really had this in the past. So when you see that enthusiasm where people want to come to register, people want to carry out their civic responsibility, perhaps you want to also project to say on election day, they will understand that registering is just the beginning. It's not the end. You need to be able to come out to cast your vote, to carry out your proper civic responsibility. But you know, the downside of it is that even though citizens are coming to register, there are so many others that are not coming to register. The information we are getting is, oh, the politicians are giving them incentives. Already the issue of vote buying is coming. People are now paid to come out to register. You know, and this worries me a lot. Because this is our responsibility, it is our right. It is your right to register, and it's free of charge. Why do you have to wait until somebody gives you an incentive before you go to register? The same thing happens on election day, and I've said it 1,000 times and more, that on election day, people wait at home to hear that somebody has been giving money, the person gets back, so I want to come back to vote. But hopefully, you know that there's been a decline, especially in the last election was the worst turnout, and I attributed it to the fact that there was this heightened tension for insecurity, the stay at home, the announcement that people shouldn't come out to vote. Some people took that, but we saw that the election was quite peaceful on election day, aside Ihiala that was not conducted on election day, but however was conducted thereafter. So, you know, coming into elections, people have want to hear this kind of news, and some entrepreneurs, some violence entrepreneurs would want to use that to keep people at home. And until people begin to realize that when you stay at home, the figures that come out to vote are the figures that decide. So imagine 10%. 2.4 million, a little bit above 2.4 million registered voters, and you are having just 10% that decided the person who would govern the state for the next 4 years. And then we are back again to that circle, and we are looking for more people, registering more people. Perhaps after the registration, we'll just maybe be able to get a little above maybe 2.9, 2.6, or even 3 million voters. Are we expecting those 3 million voters to come out? We need to properly do voter education for people to really understand that your registration you're taking, you're not doing it because of the person you want to vote for. You're actually doing it for yourself. Because if eventually you come out and you vote somebody who understands that you need health, you need education, you need a free economy, you need access roads and all of those things, and you put in that person in office and the person is able to provide you that, you have been the one benefiting. But when we look at the immediate outcome of election, we say, oh, it is the politician that benefits. And people say, oh, this person is going to be there for 4 years, whatever he gives me now, I don't know how much, even if unless he decides to give you like 1 billion naira that you can now use like 500 million every year to take care of your needs, then you can say, okay, well, this vote I have sold it in good faith and it's benefiting me. So if at the end of the day, we have that. And the excitement for me really is a percentage of women and young persons who are coming out to vote. And I tell you... To register. To register. Because if you take the statistics of people who have come out to vote in the past, it's always women. So if you're having over 58% of women, new registrants that are coming in, be sure that at least 50% of those women that are coming out and all will be part of the voting process. So that's why I'm quite excited that you have this number of women, more women coming out to register, more youth coming out to register. So while we wait and count the days till November 8th when the election is coming, we want to see how the politicians and the political class themselves engage these people who have come out to vote and who have always remained on the register. You know, and one thing again that Nigerians don't realize is that political parties are giving the voters register, the voters register, so that they can engage voters. You can actually do what they call the mosquito kind of campaign, when you go from home to home, engaging people, having town halls, rather than having hate speeches and rallies that only the big names in the political party are there, and then the people who will come to vote, you make t-shirts for them, and maybe give them some token, and you don't follow up to ensure that they don't change their mind about you. We don't do those kind of polls, apart from the media, who will do some polls to say, let's see where the votes will go. The political class themselves, they don't do that. They don't do that. So they are not even sure about the number of votes that they will get on election day, because they have not been able to do that. Rather, what I see happening a lot, you know, coming from all of the elections I've observed, being on the ground, is how much they are going to sell, buy votes from voters, and perhaps help to sway those people to their ways, because they have sold their votes. Now, let me give you a typical example. I was in Oka, I think around March this year. I was in Oka. So in my hotel, I took a stroll. I took a stroll around one of the major streets. I went there. I came back. And then in the evening, we were discussing. I said, oh, why is it that they're saying there's so much insecurity in Oka, in Anambra State, you know, going into election? And somebody just told me, say that road that you walked in the past, somebody could actually come and take you away from the road. But because of the new security apparatus that the governor had put in place, they are seeing less and less and less of that. You can imagine if you had told me that before going into Oka, I will not step out of my room at all, talk less of going to take that walk. But again, I was also on ground on election day in 2021 in Oka, and I saw that I could move around. I could move around, go to, at least I visited about 7 local government areas out of the 21 local government areas. I visited on election day, but I didn't see one issue of violence, even though people were skeptical. I saw some people, security agents, removing their uniforms. Removing their uniforms, they will carry it in the bag and come because of those issues. But we are not seeing that. I hope it doesn't happen. I hope we don't get the kind of reports, security reports that we had in 2021. And I hope that every stakeholder, especially the security agents, do play their role properly to ensure that we have a seamless election in Oka.
in Anambra. We will get back
November.
to the issue of security and the tensions that are generated. Usually, it starts very close to the elections.
Yeah.
They drive fear into people and make people to stay back at home instead of coming out to vote. But let's get back to Oka and to Mrs. Agu. Thank you so much for reconnecting with us, Mrs. Agu. Thank you so much for your time. You were telling us about how the continuous voter registration exercise went and the turnout that you have seen. In fact, a few days before the extension, INEC had reported that well over 96,000 potential voters had registered. At the end of it all, by Sunday, how many more potential voters do we now have?
As we are speaking now, we've not actually collected the whole figure because the people are still adding their figures. But by close of work today, we should be able to have all the figures intact. But we have well over 120,000 people that registered by the close of work. Yes, by the close of registration yesterday, Sunday 20th.
There were also issues of people who requested for transfer from various places into the state for this election. How has that gone?
It was really beautiful. And me, for one, I appreciate God for giving me this privilege to be part of what is going on. Because ab initio, I wouldn't believe, if I'm not in INEC, I wouldn't believe that I can sit at the comfort of my room, use my phone to do all the changes I want to make, only for the EOs and the resident electoral commissioner to approve it, and there you go. I get my printout, which means Nigeria is actually advancing. And that's exactly what happened. Many people, all that we did, majority of the things we did, we were going from registration area to registration area. getting the people to know, we're teaching them how to use their phone and make corrections in their data instead of them coming to line up and be wasting their time. And it really paid off. That's why there were no stampede, not really problem, because the people understood it, and some young men were in their various places helping their relations, helping their parents to do transfer for those who want to do transfer. Actually, we saw transfers, but we don't have the actual figure. By the close of work today, tomorrow, I will give you the actual figure of those who transferred, both from Enugu, Delta, Ebonyi, and the neighboring states. People actually, but it was very easy, very comfortable for them to do it. The machine we deployed worked, and the people were very easily accessing our facility, thereby doing the transfer, changes, replacement, and everything with ease.
So thanks to technology, you were able to pull that off very, very easily.
Honestly, it gave me joy to be part of it. Because if I'm not part of it, I won't believe it could happen seamlessly. I won't believe it.
All right. Well, let's look at other areas in this whole exercise. From the figures we have, more women and more young people have come out during the exercise to register. Now, how soon are they likely to collect their PVCs before the election on November 8th?
In the next few days, we'll be displaying. When we conclude today, tomorrow, in all the things we're supposed to do in-house, we will be printing the register of voters register. Display it at the same place they registered. That is the registration area level, 326 registration areas in Anambra. We will display, and the people will come and make corrections. Check what we've imputed in our system, whether it is exactly what they gave us, what they wanted, the names, the data, everything. When they are okay with it, we return back to our database at Abuja, where the PVC will be printed, and we go about distributing again. INEC is fully prepared to ensure that everything is tidied up to enable us. You know that these people who registered in this period between the 8th of July and the 20th July, Tuesday through Sunday, they will be participating in the governorship election. And they, by law, were supposed to have concluded it 3 months before the governorship election. So you are very sure that between this month and early next month, everything about corrections display will be done so that people will have their PVC before 3 months of the election of 8. You know, the election will be 8 November 2025, the governorship election.
What was the security situation like during this continuous voter registration exercise? And what are the expectations as we move nearer the elections on November 8th?
Security in Nigeria is actually being marred by our utterances. What people say, shouting, there's no security. The person may be in London, like in this exercise, I discovered a lot. People will be in London and saying, Madam Rek, the thing is not working. The person is not on ground. It is actually working perfectly well. But because their boys want to get some money from them, they will be telling them it's not working. And because they are not here, they can't even call me to find out what is happening. They will think it's not working. Security, we had a very good security. You know that we have what we call ISES, Interagency Security, Election Security Body, Committee, being chaired by myself, the resident electoral commissioner, and the commissioner of police. We are co-chairs. We had 4 ISES meetings within the period of January till now. What were we doing? Organizing security, making sure that everything we do between now and that November, because we have a lot of activities that needed the presence of security between now and November, like the voters registration that has just concluded, the display that is yet to come, the display of the voters register for them to make corrections, then the distribution of the voters register, we now come to the by-election and the governorship election. All these are lined up, and we need security. Security was there for us. The CP is a very kind gentleman. The DPU, they were good. We requested, and they normally deploy. The partnership is very, very smooth. They normally see this our INEC activities as national activity, and they put the mind. As we put our mind to it, the security agencies also put their mind to it. Not just police, both army, civil defense, immigration, every military, paramilitary member of the Inec'S, and we all joined hands to ensure that there was security. We didn't have issue. Only one asthmatic patient who collapsed. And because of the availability of security and mobility, she was at Dunukofia. She was rushed to the hospital. And at the hospital, she was attended to. She returned, she was discharged the same day. So the work, somebody was just asked to deputize for her, and the work went on. We had security. But you know, in Nigeria, people will condemn activities before they come on. People will be saying, there is no security. We won't see security. At times, you are not looking for, you are not even where the security should be. You'll be shouting. Our social media heat up the ecosystem. As for security, we had security, and we are grateful to the security agencies for working smoothly in partnership with us.
Now, Madam Red, from the reports available to us, logistics was quite smooth this time around during the continuous voter registration exercise. Usually the problem will be on election day, when sometimes logistics problems will delay the arrival of the various individuals and groups that are supposed to be conducting the election. What are your plans in that direction to ensure that on November 8th, or before and on November 8th, that logistics will be smooth, that voting materials will get to the various polling stations and units ahead of time, and that elections will start as and when due?
You know that logistics is a third-party provision. And often in Nigeria, as we are advancing, most people see any little chance as an opportunity to make money more than necessary. So in the past, when people are engaged for logistic activities, that is mobility per se, they will accept that they are going. Early morning or 2 days to the day when you want to start moving, especially from the CBN, you see that most transporters will begin to say, we are threatened. They will begin to show you. Some will run away. They will not even come to tell you that the men of underworld threatened them. They don't want to risk their life. Bearing that in mind, we INEC as a body, whenever we have any challenge, we normally sit in-house and review, find alternative. INEC had discovered, for instance, at Anambra, all the people that are seconded, the security, the transport agencies that are seconded during our elections, especially for me, I don't engage them for the next activity. So we had removed all those ones who team with men of underworld, running away with us, coming with our money, claiming that they were threatened. We know those who performed very well during the past elections and past INEC activities. Those ones, we normally engage them. And we are very sure, very sure. If you check the history of Anambra election, 2023 senatorial, that is national elections, it had some teething problems as far as logistics is concerned. We made our arrangements, got the people, gave them the money they demanded. But early morning for us to move at the CBN, they said no, they must, not only in Anambra, all over the state nation, they said there must be increase in the transport fare, there must be increase in the cash. They demanded for complete payment before they move, which we refused. And that helps to work against, to make us to delay a little. But for the state assembly election of the same February 2023, We made alternative arrangement. Like I told you, we removed some smoky firewoods from the fire and we had it smooth. We deployed in good time. We opened shops early enough. Before 8, we were already set in all the stations. By 8:30, people were already voting, which was testified by some prominent people that went around the state to vote. So the same arrangement we have continued to fine-tune, and we are very sure. Don't forget that this is a standalone. For standalone, we can get anything we need from neighboring states. We will not subject ourselves to only providers of these services in Anambra. We could go to other states when we don't have enough. So we are very sure that the November 8th governorship election, we will not have issue. There will be no stories, inshallah.
Well, Madam Rek, let's talk about the political parties now. Open campaigns have started, in fact, started since June. Is INEC monitoring the campaigns that are going on right now? And how much of political education are the political parties actually offering the populace? Because it's actually one of the responsibilities of the political parties for education of the electorate. How much of that is happening, and how much of monitoring is INEC doing right now of the campaigns that are ongoing?
INEC is on full monitoring, both everything that the parties do, primaries, campaign. INEC is on full monitoring. But you know, for campaign, we have flagged off campaign as the timetable requested. But the people are still, they normally plan themselves. They are still going. Some parties say they are going on thanking the people for the confidence reposed on them, thereby giving them the flag, the tickets to represent the party. But we discovered that it's part of the campaign, because as they're moving from local government to local government, from community to community, they were also thanking them for the ones they've done before, giving them the ticket. They're also preparing them for the election. So I believe that the people this time around, they're doing, I wasn't there in 2021, but from what I can see between 2023 and this 2025, the people are more into, they are more into in-house education of the people, in-house soliciting for the people's backing by way of vote. So INEC also, we are following up everything, and we are also doing press briefing to the community, to the public, and also informing our headquarters on what is all that is going on.
All right, Madam Rek, please stay with us. Let me turn some attention to Madam Faith in the studio here. You have heard all that she has said. INEC appears to be very prepared. It has conducted the continuous voter exercise very well, and they're already planning for November 8th. Now, the whole issue of the conduct of the political parties and their candidates, from what you have seen so far, what would be your attitude or your response to them?
Thank you very much. And congratulations, Madam Rek, for all of the work that you are doing. We hope that much more work will be done going into the election. You know, we have always looked at elections from the point of view of the participation of the different stakeholders. And the weakest link has always been the political class. Why do I say that? Now, it is the responsibility, even though they take that responsibility to INEC to conduct voter education, it's there in the Electoral Act. But it is one of the main responsibility of the political class to conduct voter education. Why? Because you don't want to see the volume of votes that are declared invalid. So a politician that is fielding a candidate should, by this time, already have a way of educating the citizens on, you know, how to vote. But you see what is happening, like what she said, they are going around to say, oh, thank you for giving me the flag. But you forget, it is the party members that gave you the flag. It is not the community people that gave you the flag. So if you are going out to say thank you, you are going out to say thank you to your party members. There should be another strategy. to engage those who will vote for you, who were not part of the delegates that gave you that flag. So if you are going to communities and say, no, thank you, perhaps in a particular community, there are just about 1 or 2 delegates from that particular community. And in that community, you have, let's say, 1,000 voters who are coming out to vote. INEC, by the time they clean up the register, will be giving the voter register to the political parties so that they know who to engage. While all of these are good campaigning, so far, from the reports that we're getting on the field, we have not had a lot of hate speech like it was in 2021. And in 2021, a lot of the candidates didn't even go to the local government to campaign because of the issues of insecurity. Some of them had their campaigns in Oka, and it was just there, and so they just sent out their party members. People didn't want to be attacked. People didn't, because of the tension. I can tell you that that tension is not as heightened as we saw in 2021. The environment is a little bit relaxed. Perhaps maybe the lessons learned from 2023 and what happened in 2021 is helping the politicians take a new direction on how to go about their electioneering. And also, for the first time, you see a lot of inclusion happening within all of this. Now, there's a particular case I was asked to bring up here. That's the case of the persons with disability, as it concerns the CVR. So the community of persons with disability within Anambra State have said that for those who are hearing impaired, that they would have loved to see somebody, a sign language interpreter, on the field, telling them what to do and how to go about there. I know that they have a wonderful director at the State Commission for Persons with Disability. I've had the opportunity of engaging with him. I think there should be a way that that commission will find its way to INEC and have a collaboration, a discussion with the resident electoral commissioner in Anambra State. And also, the political class should ensure that they engage this. Now, during the election, INEC made some provisions for the Braille, the Braille guide for people who are, visually impaired, to be able to do that. But there are also other people who say they have a hearing impairment. They need somebody to explain these processes for them. Perhaps the politicians, in carrying out their campaign, can have a strategic group that is engaging with the community of persons with disability, so that they can also be able to bridge that gap with INEC to be able to do that. Because at the end of the day, every election, the immediate outcome of that election benefits the political class. But something about this election is showing you that some of those political parties that were up there, in 2021, there's been a little bit of a shift. You see, like Labour Party coming up now because of what had happened, the bandwagon effect that happened in 2023, because of the P2B factor. You see the Labour Party candidates now being showing among the first top 3, and you have the APC and the APGA, showing among the first top 3. It has always been the APC, APGA, and PDP. But right now, even on the radar, you are not seeing the PDP, the party itself, on the radar of the first, let's say if you want to say the first 4 or first 5 political parties who are in the race. So you understand that there has been a lot of political education happening, but it is not the political class that is doing that political education. So you have INEC also doing voter registration, voter education. You have civil society organizations doing voter education and helping to bridge that gap so that citizens understand what is happening. We need the political class. It is good that the campaign period has been extended, from the new electoral act. It's been extended. But in that campaign, there should be a deliberate effort to do voter education. Capture people. If I want to challenge the political parties, for instance, I say you have the voter register. Can your political party come up with a data that show people who have never voted? or people who just turned 18 who are registering now, what are your strategies to engage these people so that they can come out? It's not just about giving 5,000 or 10,000 on election day and then you think all is well. All is not well, because that way you are not engaging the people in such a way that their engagement can be strategic to help in your governance for anybody that comes out. So what are the priorities of the people? What are you saying? Are you saying the same thing over and over again? I'm going to address insecurity. I'm going to address issue of food security. I'm going to address
That's
marginalization.
what we're hearing from all the candidates right now.
It is the same story. It is the same story. But what has happened? Do you see all of those campaigns translate into evidence on the ground after the election? So we need, the political class needs to change their strategy. It is fine that they have to go and thank people who have given them the flag, but they should understand that people who gave them the flag are members of their political party. They now need to engage citizens and Nambarians who are not members of their political parties, but who they need their votes to be able to get to their destination.
And make the job much easier for INEC. Madam Rek, just before I let you off, let me ask this. You know, in 2021, the turnout, as we have said earlier on here, was just about 10.3% of registered voters. What efforts are being made to boost voter turnout this time around?
We in INEC, we are not leaving the voter education to the political parties, because it's also our civic responsibility to enlighten the people and get the people to come out and vote, because we promise them that their vote will count. This year, within the past 3 months, we had, like Madam Faith said, we had engaged the people with disabilities on 4 different occasions. At every point, we are making sure that we explain to them, educate them, show them all those Section 54, subsection 1 and 2 of Electoral Act 2022, enumerated the things INEC is supposed to do. And like we told them when we met with them the last 2 weeks, we had INEC as a body had done all. They were so happy when we were with them. We have made effort because we discovered they were mostly the most disadvantaged people, ignored often by maybe political parties or even the stakeholders. So we've taken it as a major activity. Even in this registration, we ensured, that's why we visited every registration area. I and my management, we were touring with, at a point, we shared ourselves into 3, and we were going everywhere, having meeting with them, ensuring that they come out, and that when they come out, they are given preferential treatment. But like Madam Faith said, the issue of Braille or sign language, for Braille, we produce Braille. But you know too that if anybody did not study the use of Braille, the person cannot use it. When we were discussing with them, they agreed that it's true. INEC has produced Braille. But very, very few, I don't know, that day there was no single person in our meeting amongst the people with a disability. There was no single person who could read, who could use the Braille. But INEC, knowing that most often people will not be able to use Braille, we had provided other means, such as you coming with anybody you trust, whether to register or to vote. You come with somebody you trust, who will put you, must have been educated by us, who will put you through to what you need to do. But for the sign language, how many persons in Nigeria are educated as far as sign language are concerned? Very few. It's a rare area where people don't think they should delve into. So, but INEC has made it possible that as many as are available, we use them during the election. Like at the collection centers, as many as are available within Nigeria, we use them. At the ward areas, people are available. But I can assure you that not many of the people in Nigeria are knowledgeable about sign language. So somebody who has difficulty of hearing is seeing, and if you're seeing, we normally keep written posters all over the polling unit, all over the registration area, indicating what we are doing per time. If it is registration, we give print a lot of things that will educate somebody who is not hearing but is seeing, can read. But the thing is that most of the people with disability in our community are not well versatile with, are not well educated. So some of the things that could have helped them. But at that point, you are not well educated. You didn't even go to school at all. You could come with somebody, your relation, or you get to the polling unit, ask anybody there, whether police, whether our staff, to help you. They will normally help you. The sign language sign language people we have used them.
Okay, Madam Reg, let me ask you
As
this
for
last
we
question.
also go to
What would be your message to voters in Anambra State, voters and the politicians themselves, as we round off our discussion? What would be your message to them? That INEC, for instance, is going to conduct free, fair, and credible elections. What is your message?
that has always been my message since I set my foot at Anambra. And 2023 was a litmus test. Anambra people believe that what I said is correct. Free, fair, credible, they know. But I'm begging the politician to go to, like Madam Faith said, go to the people, make them promises, which you know you will keep. Educate them. It took me time to get the people believe that their vote will count. Now they've known their vote will count. Let the politicians also, the parties, also do their work. As for us, we are ready. We have all the materials, we have the personnel, we are poised for action. The people, I also endure them to come out en masse because their vote will also count in 2025.
Thank you so much, Madam Reg. Thank you for your time. And Madam Faith, thank you so much.
Thank you for
yes,
having me.
one last word, very quickly.
Your PVC is your power. That's what makes you your guy or madam. Use it wisely.
Thank you so much. Mrs. Elizabeth Queen Ago is the resident electoral commissioner in Anambra State. The woman on whose shoulders, of course, rests the credible, fair, and free conduct of the November 8th governorship election in Anambra State. Thank you so much for giving us your time, and we look forward to engaging you again before
God
the
bless
election.
you.
Thank you. And of
Thank
course,
you so
right
much.
here in the studio is Madam
Thank you.
Faith Wandishi, who is the Executive Director, Center for Transparency Advocacy, CTA, and a veteran election monitor.
Thank you so much.
for
Thank
your
you
time.
for having me. Thank
Great,
you.
welcome. And that's our program for today. Please join us again when we bring you a fresh edition of People, Politics, and Power. Bye for now.